Welcome to Money Muscle Mindset, the podcast designed to motivate and educate you on your journey to financial and fitness success and to develop the mentality needed to achieve your goals. I'm Zay Molina, and in this episode, we're going to talk about why progress is not always linear. Now, what does that mean exactly? Progress is not always linear. Guys, well, when we simply talk about this, all it means is that progress is not always like an escalator, right? It's not always a straight line where you're going to start and you're going to keep moving and have success at the end, right? And we wish it was that easy, right? But in reality, guys, we understand that there's going to be ups and downs. We understand there's going to be peaks and valleys, right? We understand that our progress is not going to be perfect and everything's going to go right all the time. Yes, we may have some early wins, some early gains, right? But we're also going to have those setbacks. We're also going to have those drops. We're also going to have those plateaus, right? Every point of our journey is going to be a little bit different. So we understand that even though we show up every day and even though we're doing the same thing and we know what we're doing is going to help us in the long run, right? That long run, that long term that we're focused on, right? It's not going to be a perfect line. It's not going to be a perfect slope to success, right? We understand that, again, it's going to be like a staircase. It's going to be like a mountain where we're going to have those ups and downs. We're going to have those plateaus. And we got to understand that that is a part of the process, right? It's not necessarily a negative thing, but it's something that we can learn and grow from. And I'm sure you guys have seen this on your health journey, right? If you go to the gym, right? Maybe you go to the gym 5 days a week, right? Every day after work, right? You show up at the gym, you do your workout, you have your program, you follow it, right? You understand, you know that you're eating healthy, you're doing all this kind of stuff, right? And some months and some weeks, they look great, right? You do your monthly weigh-in, right? And you understand that you're heading the right direction. You're gaining muscle, you're losing fat, right? But then you have 1 month, just after, let's say 4 months in a row of great progress, great results. The 4th month, you hit a plateau where you're exactly the same as the month before, right? Where you didn't lose any weight, you didn't get any muscle. Maybe it saw a little bit of a negative, maybe lost half a pound of muscle or gained half a pound of fat, right? Whatever it may be, right? When you look at that, do you get discouraged, right? Do you get upset and say, oh man, what's the point? It's not working, right? Or do you understand that, hey, out of the 5 months that I was just working out, I had one where I had a little bit of negative results, right? But I understand that in the long run, I still made progress from where I first started, right? And that's the important aspect of understanding that you're going to have those bad months, those bad weeks, those bad days, right? But in the long run, that is very minuscule to the progress that you have made overall. Maybe you're trying to lose weight and so far you've lost 30 pounds in 6 months, right? But month 7 comes around and you gain 1 pound. Are you going to get discouraged and say, oh, this isn't working, I should give up, there's no point, right? Or are you going to look at the long run and, again, looking back to where you started and say, okay, 1 bad month is not going to hurt me, right? Yeah, I had a bad week where I didn't follow my workout plan or I didn't eat exactly what I was supposed to, right? So you understand and you look back and you use that as a lesson, right? You don't look at it as a loss or a setback. You look at it as, hey, how can I grow from this? How can I adapt, right? Or maybe, for example, you're trying to gain muscle and let's say for the last few weeks, last few months, you put on 2-3 pounds of muscle and then the next month you realize that, hey, I didn't put on any muscle, right? I'm exactly where I was before. What did I do wrong? What is going on? Why isn't this working, right? Or do you look at it as, hey, you know what? In those last few weeks, maybe I was eating a little bit more protein, right? Or maybe I was pushing myself a little bit harder, right? Or maybe now I just need to simply adjust my calorie intake, right? Or maybe I need to eat a little bit more protein and carbs to help me build that muscle and start moving to a new level, right? And that's the idea, guys, is again, looking at these setbacks or plateaus, not as losses or failures, right? But as lessons, right? Well, how can we grow from this? How can we adapt? But the key is not giving up, right? Not letting those little setbacks, not letting those losses, right, really tear you down. You got to stick with your goals and stay consistent, even when it comes to finances, right? Maybe you have a goal of, hey, I want to go on a big vacation this year. So I need to start saving up, right? I need to start investing money so I can start making a little more, all this kind of stuff. So let's say you put a plan in place and you say, you know what? Okay, I'm going to save this much every single month and I'm going to invest this much every single month, right? And you start going and everything's going well for the first month, the second month, the third month. And then all of a sudden, the 4th month, you have a bad investment and price drops like crazy, right? Or you have a family emergency and you got to take some out of your savings, right? Again, these things are going to happen. It's going to come, right? And your progress is going to start looking great. And then all of a sudden you have those type of months, those type of weeks, and you're going to see that dip, right? But again, it doesn't mean that it's a failure or anything like that, guys. It's a part of the progress. You're going to have those things that are going to come into your life, whether it's expected or unexpected, whether it's something that's in your control, out of your control. We understand that this is just life, right? This is the journey that we're on. And so when those things come, guys, we got to understand that, okay, we're not going to just give up right then and there, right? We're going to use this and we're going to start to learn of how we can adapt. How can we start to do things a little bit differently? How can we change things that can help us not necessarily avoid these setbacks and avoid these things, but essentially, how can we bounce back a lot sooner, a lot quicker? How can we prepare that if another thing like this happens, how can we make sure that we're ready for it? Again, you want to stay consistent and start developing those healthy habits that are going to help you achieve your goals. For example, guys, to develop habits, we understand that it takes time, right? There was a study in 2010 that actually predicted that about 66 days is what it takes to build a habit. Now, obviously, there's lots of studies about this, and sometimes they vary from anywhere from 21 to 90 days, but 66 is about the median. And according to this study, many people don't feel like they've made any progress up until this point where they feel like they developed a habit. For example, again, let's use the gym. That's probably the easiest example, right? If you go to the gym every single day after work and you're doing a workout and you feel like you're getting stronger, right? If you look at yourself every single day in the mirror, you probably don't really notice any results, right? You're looking at yourself every single day after day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, right? And you're just constantly seeing yourself in the mirror. You're looking at yourself so often that you don't notice the changes. But if you go out and see a friend or a family member that you haven't seen in months, and let's say from when you first started, right? And you see them after, let's say 3 months, 4 months, right? They're going to look at you and say, wow, you've made a lot of progress. You're in great shape. Have you lost weight? Have you gained muscle, right? They're going to notice that difference because they just simply haven't seen you every single day like we do when we look at ourselves in the mirror. So what I'm trying to say is that even if you don't necessarily see results, but by you being consistent, you're still making progress. These results may be invisible to you, right? But to others, they can definitely see the changes over time. So I feel like that's really the key, is understanding that we need to let go of the short-term frustration, the short-term discouragement, right? And understand that this is a long-term game. No matter what our goal is, whatever success that we want to have in this life, right? It's long-term. That's what we're focused on. And we understand that, again, by letting go of that short-term frustration, we can focus on the long-term gain and embrace this journey that we're on. And I think one of the hardest things is actually plateaus versus setbacks, because when it comes to setbacks and losses, right, usually you can kind of tell and know what you did wrong, right? Like, for example, again, let's say you have a bad month and you gain weight instead of lose weight, or you lose muscle and all that kind of stuff, right? Typically, you can look back and say, okay, yeah, I had a bad week where I didn't go to the gym at all, or I ate like crap, right? I went out with friends and did all this. I drank a lot, whatever it may be, right? Same thing with your finances. Yep, that month I went out and I bought a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't necessarily need, right? It was more expenses versus investments, right? I understand that I could have used that money a little bit better, right? When you have those setbacks, you typically can look back and most likely probably find out what you did wrong in that month, in that week. But I personally feel that sometimes when we have those plateaus where we feel like we didn't make any change at all, negative or positive, right? That can be probably the most frustrating. And again, guys, how do we manage this emotional roller coaster of understanding that, hey, I was just seeing great results, all this was going well, and all of a sudden now I'm not losing any more weight, or I'm not gaining any more muscle, or my bank account is staying exactly the same, right? My savings isn't growing, my investments aren't really moving. I pretty much broke even this month, right? And all these little things start popping in our head, right? So those plateaus can be the most frustrating, where we can't necessarily figure out what we did wrong, right? But again, guys, doesn't necessarily mean you did something wrong, especially when it comes to the gym and your fitness journey, right? It's not necessarily that you did something wrong where you're not gaining muscle, you're not losing weight, right? It may have just be simply that you caught up to your caloric intake, right? At some point, if you're trying to lose weight, right, you're going to be eating less, of course, to be in a calorie deficit, right? And that maybe after a few months, after losing 20, 30 pounds, right, you understand that, hey, now I'm at a plateau, I'm not really losing anything. You can now look at your diet, you can look at your workout plan and say, okay, what do I need to adjust? Maybe I need to add more cardio. Maybe I need to add more weightlifting, or maybe I need to look at my calories and say, maybe I can cut down a little bit more on some carbs and fats, right? Maybe I can increase my protein intake to feel fuller and start filling up more on protein than other carbs and other snacks and other fats and things that I don't necessarily need, right? And those are the little adjustments that we can start to make. And again, it's not that you did anything wrong. It's just that simply you hit a point where now it's time to adjust a little bit so you can hit the next level on your journey. You got to think about it like a staircase, right? Staircases aren't, again, a perfect slope to the upside, right? You have a rise and then you have a plateau. Then you have a rise, then you have a plateau, right? With each step, you understand that you have to raise your leg a little bit higher to reach that next step, that next level, right? And the same thing when it comes to our success, right? We got to challenge ourselves in different ways to continue to rise and continue to hit new levels on this journey. Again, using that staircase analogy, you're going to be taking step after step, find a good rhythm. You're going to be moving up at a good pace, right? But what happens if the steps get larger? What happens if there's turns on the staircase, right? What happens if all these different things start coming at us? How do we adapt? How do we change? And again, it's not that you did anything wrong. You moved up the staircase, but now all of a sudden, the staircase looks different now. How can we climb up to the next step if it's a little bit taller, a little bit higher, right? How do we change direction if needed on this staircase, right? So I hope that makes sense, guys, of understanding that these little things are going to happen on our journey, and we got to stay consistent. We got to stay disciplined to find the different things that are going to push us to reach that next level. So again, guys, when you hit those plateaus or those setbacks, right, you got to keep your emotions in check, right? You got to understand that, hey, these things are going to happen. I should expect some kind of setback. I should expect some kind of resistance that's going to hold me back a little bit. Because if you don't, that means it's easy, and that means everybody would do it, right? You understand that these little things, these things that get in your way, right, they're meant to challenge you, to help you become better and adapt so you can start pushing yourself to newer heights, to newer levels, right? To continue on this journey to achieve whatever goals that you have. So again, guys, stay consistent, right? Push yourself to keep going forward, even when you're not seeing results, even when you're at a plateau, right? Even when you see negative results, right? Continue to move forward, right? Because it's a long-term game. Keep that in mind, guys. Trust the process long term. Now, I'm not saying don't enjoy the short-term gains or the small wins, right? Of course, embrace those guys. Do your weekly weigh-ins, right? Check your count monthly, right? Do all this kind of stuff and understand that you got to track your progress, right? But even when you see those negative results or no results at all, guys, keep moving forward. Understand, again, it's a long-term game. Keep pushing, keep trying to grow each and every day. Setbacks, plateaus, resistance, losses, right? These are all normal, right? These are not failure, right? These are a part of the process, and you got to learn to embrace them, learn to adapt and overcome them. So again, you can continue to push yourself to whatever new level it is, right? Whatever is going to help you again grow into the next person that you want to become to achieve the success that you want. So again, guys, keep in mind, progress is not always going to be a perfect line to success, right? You're going to have those ups, you're going to have those downs, you're going to have those plateaus, right? But at the end of the day, as long as you keep moving forward, whether you're flying, whether you're running, whether you're crawling, right? Whatever it may be, guys, keep pushing yourself, keep moving forward. And in the long run, guys, as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't quit, you will see success. Keep pushing yourself, keep trying to grow. And again, overcome those challenges, overcome that resistance to achieve the goals that you have. So with that being said, that's what I got for you guys on today's episode. Again, why progress is not always linear. Again, guys, just keep pushing yourself, stay consistent, stay moving forward, find ways to push past those challenges, push past that resistance, and again, trust the long-term progress to continue to achieve your goals. I hope you guys got some value from this episode. And with that, guys, I'm gonna leave you guys as I always do. Remember, success isn't just about the money you make or the muscle you build. It's also about the mindset you develop along the way. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Money Muscle Mindset.